Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. Today's part 38 of my fitness database series. This is a video about making databases, not necessarily about fitness. So lots of cool tips and tricks. Watch parts 1 through 37 first, and here we go. Alrighty, and we're back. The next thing I want to do, and again, we're still covering a bunch of pet peeves. I sometimes will go, for a couple days, and I'll just make a whole ton of notes of things I want to fix, things that have aggravated me while I was using the database. And like I said, I think in the last video or two, I like it when you're typing in here and you pick, like that. But then once you pick something, I want the box to close. I don't want it to sit there once I've made a selection. Close it. The problem is, in our code, what happens is we've got an onChange event, right? So we can tell it in the onChange event to drop that box down or not, unless we've made a selection. Once you actually make a selection, then the after update event fires. Okay? And the after update event actually fires before the last onChange event. It's weird. The order that these things run is weird. And if you want to see how they run, just put a message box in here. Or in our case, we can status it. Watch this. So onChange, right? In here, we'll just status change like that so we can see it. And then what we'll do is in the after update event, we'll put in here a status update. So we know it's after update. Okay, and you can see how they fire. All right, so if I come in here, if I type in something, A, P, you can see the change events firing, right? And now if I pick something, all right, you get update and then change again. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if the update event just fired, don't run that dropdown. And the only way we can tell the onChange event not to fire the dropdown method, it's technically a method when you do that, is to either store it in a variable or a form field, or my favorite, TempVars. So we'll use a TempVar and say, okay, once the after update event runs, then when you get back to the change event, don't drop the box down. I know it sounds kind of convoluted, but that's really the only way you can do it. Okay? I just wanted to give you my train of thought here. All right, so back on the code. So in the after update event, instead of that status there, we're going to say TempVars is after update equals true. Okay? And also what I kind of like to do at this point too, instead of keeping the focus on that drop-down box, since we've made a selection, let's move over to the add food button. Add food button dot set focus. Because a lot of the times when I was typing, I want to type in a food, I want to type in banana, hit enter, that'll move me to the plus button. I can hit enter again, it'll add the item, and then I want to put the focus back on the combo box. So I can just type in a bunch of stuff. I'm a keyboard freak. Sometimes I like to just work without having to touch the mouse. Okay? Now, so we've set that up here. The problem is this is going to run a bunch of times before that guy runs. And we have to look for it in here. So we got to do a little bit more work in here. First thing we got to check for, whenever you're dealing with TempVars, if you're going to look at the status of the TempVar, you want to make sure it's not null first, because that'll throw off everything. And remember, nothing is equal to null. Null isn't equal to even itself. Null is null. So, there's a whole, I got a whole separate videos on null math and how null behaves. Go look those up on my website. But with a TempVar, you always want to, if you're going to check to see if it's true or false, if it's null, it's neither true or false. It's null. So what I like to do is I like to initialize it before I actually check its value. So I'm going to say if is null, I'm going to put this in my clipboard too, because I don't want to have to keep typing this out. If is null, that TempVar, then that equals false, because this hasn't run yet, right? So the very first time this comes in here, it's going to say, oh yeah, is after update, this TempVar is null. We're going to set it to false, which is fine. That's what we want. Okay? Now, if they get to this point and that TempVar is false, then we're going to do everything in here that we have before. right? If they haven't, so we're going to just, I hate checking to see if it's not false because we're going to do something else if it is true. So we're going to say if that is true, if it is the after update, then we're going to do some stuff here, something slightly different. We'll talk about that in a minute. Otherwise, it's just a change event, nothing picked yet. Wash day tomorrow, nothing clean, right? What movie is that from? Anybody? All right, and we're going to do all this stuff because the user just picked an item. We can end if here. Okay. And if we get down to the bottom here, in either case, we can say is after update equals false. We're going to reset it to false down here because if it's true, it's going to set true up here, come into here, and then we're going to do some other stuff. So here it's going to be is after update, user made a selection. And what are we going to do here? All we're going to do is we're going to update the combo box to just everything. To just set it to the whole list, right? Because here we're taking the value in there that was changed, and we're limiting it to just Apple or whatever the user's typing. But at this point, they made a selection, so I'm going to update the whole box and set it equal to blank, like that. I think that's the default, isn't it? Let's see. Where are you? Oh, you're down here. Yeah, the default is blank, so we have to do that. But sometimes, even though that is the default, I like to put that there, so you can just see that we're resetting it. Reset combo box to all items because they made their selection, right? They picked the value, they made a selection, put everything back in the box, and now it's ready for you hitting the plus button. Make sense? Okay. Well, let's see it in action. Save it, debug, compile. Now, if I come in here and I type in app apple, let's do something else. Let's do chicken. There's chicken. I got all my chickens. Okay. If I pick one, look at that. I put the value in the box. It didn't drop down. And it reset the whole row source so it clears everything, but it's got my value in there. Now I can add it. See? And if I come over here and I type in PROT, let's do Cliff Bar. Let's do Cliff. CLI. Okay, that's fine. Enter, and then enter. See? Okay, so that's working. Let me get rid of these. I didn't eat those today. Next, I think what I like is when I pick a value and I add it, I don't want it sitting up here because I almost never make changes at that point, right? I almost always just want to add another item, especially once we get meals in here, which we're going to do very soon. I just want to like type and go, type and go, type and go. So instead of putting it up here, I want the focus to go back here so I can add the next item. All right, so again, let's delete this. And I know we wrote this whole code so that we return, where is it here? Let's go, it's in here, right? Yeah, we're returning the ID so we know which item to find. But after doing all this, I kind of don't like the way that it behaves. If you like it, leave it. I don't. So what I'm going to do is we don't need this new ID anymore, so get rid of that. I don't care where you're sitting up top. So we can change this now to just a call of the subroutine. That means we can do that. We're just saying add food item to log with a food combo, right? We don't care about what the return value is. And you can do that with a function. Even though this is a function, you don't have to get the return value. You can just call it like a subroutine and just basically you're saying, I don't care what it returns. All right, and then we're going to get rid of this. I don't care about the find first. We still got to requery. Okay, and now instead of food description dot set focus, I'm going to say food combo dot set focus. That's all. It's going to put us right back on the combo box. So now I can rapid fire, debug, compile, and this is how I was wanting to use the database for the whole last week. Right? I want to come down here. I want to type in apple, enter. Orange. I got the, what do I got? The tangerine, enter. Yogurt. enter, enter. That's how I want to use it. All right, protein, enter, enter. And we got to do that. We have to do that bounce thing eventually because we want it to scroll down. Okay, members will do that. The bounce function is something that I wrote for the members. And yeah, there are going to be some extra features that are members only. I'm sorry. I got bills to pay too, but I'm giving you guys lots of stuff for free. Okay. Before we finish today, I just wanted to go over a question that someone posted, or a comment that someone posted on YouTube. When we did in part 34, we did the plates that you want to track, how much plates you want to put on the sides. We did a plate calculator. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Peter KI65 said, I think you forgot the bar weight. Well, no, I didn't really forget it. The point of the exercise was to say, okay, I need to add 120 pounds onto what I'm lifting right now. And for me personally, if I am using a bar, I consider that a constant, right? Me personally, I have a PowerTech lever gym. It's a leverage machine that does use free weights, but there's no bar. It's connected to a lever. It's safer so you don't drop the bar on your neck. And I like it. So I don't bother tracking bar weight myself because I'm not lifting to I don't care what's your max bench press, bro. I don't care about that. I care about knowing what I did last time so I can progress the next time I work out. So I just, I'm just want to know if I'm benching 100 pounds, 120 pounds, whatever it happens to be, next time I know I can add 5. So that's why I track that. And I want to know how many plates to put on the side. If you want to track your bar weights, because I have talked to people that they do keep track of that because sometimes they do, different exercises with different bars and they want to know the weight. That's fine. I would just add that on to whatever you're doing if you want to track that in your log. Me personally, and for the point of that exercise, is I just care about the plates themselves. So that's up to you. And that's easy to do. If you want to add it to that calculation, that's fine. But yeah, that's a personal setting. So you can do whatever you want with it. That's the beauty of building your own database. You can do whatever you want. But thanks for the comment. Keep them coming. I love reading your comments. I don't necessarily mention everybody every time. And some of these were fitness questions that I do cover in my regular quick queries on Fridays. So watch those too. If it's a generic access question that I can answer in quick queries, I've been answering them there. If it's something specific to this database, I'll try to answer it after one of my actual lessons here. Okay? Okay. One more comment. Giorgio says he wants to know what online means because at time index, whatever, he says, do you want to see the online stuff in here? Sorry if I wasn't clear. When I'm talking about that, I mean taking the database online. One of my goals is to be able to edit this stuff on my phone, right? If I'm out to lunch, I want to type in what I ate. If I'm working out, if I'm somewhere else, I want to be able to put that in. So I want this eventually to be online, meaning you can get to your data from the web, from your phone, from wherever. All right. So we're building it as an access database, but eventually I want to take the data, the tables, and put it up in SQL Server on my website. Whether or not I include that as part of this series of tech help videos, I'm not sure yet. I might, because I've been wanting to do something to get people, get their data up in the SQL Server. I got a whole seminar on it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it here or make it something separate yet. That's what I said. Do you want to see the online stuff in here? I was trying to get, people's feelings for who wants to see it and who doesn't. And so far, not a lot of you have said that you care. So I don't know. We'll get to that. That's something that I usually do when the database is finished. It's finished, it's working in Access, I can use it, it's perfect. Now we'll put the tables up in SQL Server and see about building a web interface for it. All right, members, we're going to do an extended cut today. I have a little tiny fix to the bounce subroutine that we built in whatever previous class. We're going to add bounce to this food log. So as we add items, if we add below what we can see, it'll bounce up like we love to do. And I'm going to add my window positioning code to this database. I have it in a couple other databases. I used to actually have it in the Tech Help free template, but I took it out of there because it was complicated and it was confusing newbies. So I took that out. But on my desktop, I've got it so that different databases open in different positions, right? Like my company database opens in one spot, my account balances database opens in a different spot. I've got my own little task database that just opens up in the corner. And the problem with Access is that every database will just open wherever the last database you had it was, and I don't want that. I like to have it positioned in a specific spot. So we got code for that. We're going to add 2. So that's all going to be in the extended cut for the members. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut videos, and gold members can download these databases and get the code vault and all kinds of other cool perks. So check it out. So that's going to do it for part 38, folks. Hope you learned something. We'll see you tomorrow for Quick Queries Friday. And then we'll see you again on Monday, probably Monday, maybe Monday. I'm not sure, because today is Tuesday, the 16th of September, 2025. So we might do the next one after this on Monday. I'm not sure. We're going to start meals next. We're ready to start meals. We're going to add meals to the food log so that when you pick a meal, it adds all those food items. That's my next thing that I've really been wanting. So we're going to do that. Yeah, we'll do it on Monday. I'm going to do a non-fitness access class next week too, because got to get new eyeballs in here too, right? People see Fitness 38 and then they stop. Did you notice I did the updated thumbnail for the last 2 classes? Let me know what you think about them. This was the one for 37. I rearranged it a little bit. People said they'd like to see, you know, the little bit of text up here, what it's covered. Made the fitness database a little less prominent. A few people commented that I might be losing eyeballs because people see fitness. You know, problem we've had since day one, right? Same thing for part 36, right? Just try to be a little more descriptive on here. Let me know what you think. All right, so that's it. That's part 38. Hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. See you Monday for part 39. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get 1 free beginner class each month, and yes, those are from my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos. Plus, you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get 1 free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject. And you get 1 free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.